If you live in the United States, you're probably celebrating Thanksgiving. Now, let me ask you a question. Why do you celebrate Thanksgiving? Is it strictly convention, or is there any actual particular reason you're celebrating those things? So, I'm going to share with you why I celebrate Thanksgiving and why it is done that way. And it's completely different from how most people celebrate Thanksgiving. And also, I want to go into a little bit more about the gratitude aspect, why I never practice gratitude and what I do replace it with. So most people do things, behave in the way they do, and celebrate the things they do because strictly of convention, meaning doing things without any reason of doing them just because they know to do those things without question. Doing things without question. A lot of things, these are things we revisit in the Great Relationship University, a lot of things that we do strictly because of convention. The tradition in the Western countries is that Thanksgiving was when the pilgrims traveled a long way and they met with the Indians, and the Indians celebrated with them with food, and they had a great feast, and they called it Thanksgiving. Are you familiar with that? Is that why you're celebrating? The truth about Thanksgiving is something completely different that escapes most people. And it comes from the book written by the governor of the settlement that founded Plymouth Rock. So the pilgrims traveled a long way. There were a lot of deaths along the way, a lot of hardships. People were starving, and they came upon Plymouth Rock. They didn't meet the Indians at that time. And the governor decided on a socialism style of governance. So what he decided, what the community as a whole decided, was they're going to do a socialistic style of governance where they acquire all the resources. Everybody will pitch their work, and they will do their work, their part in the community, and they will pool together all of the resources they come up with, the food and the bounty from whatever work they've done, and they stored it in a storage area, and they will then distribute it into the community as a whole. And so that's essentially the socialistic style of governance, where you pull together the resources of everybody's work, you put them into one central governance, one central organization, central government, and then you distribute it as a whole evenly to everybody. So there's actually, in that style of governance, there's no incentive for people to produce more, because the more you produce, the more of it, all of it's taken away by the government, and the government distributes it to everybody, distributes it to even those people who don't do any work, who sits in their sofa, who does nothing for the community, and they get the bounty of the people who acquire all of the resources. So there's actually, in that scenario, in that style of governance, there's no incentive for anybody to work hard. So as you can tell, what happened was people did not work hard. People who were young and had a lot of energy, and they didn't have any incentive to work hard, acquire all of the resources that they did. So what ended up happening was that people started to become ill. Nobody really produced, because they knew that when they produced, it will be taken away by the government, the governing organization. And so they didn't have any incentive to produce, they didn't have any energy. And people were actually dying, and people were actually walking on dead bodies. You should read this book, and I'll give you the title of the book. The book was written by the governor who governed that community at Plymouth Rock. And so as people were dying, people were getting sick, and people were walking over dead bodies in that little community, the governor thought, what about, let's do a capitalism style of governance, where we reward those people who acquire the resources and allow them what in capitalism equates to, essentially. Capitalism equates to property rights. We will allow property rights, the government said, and we will allow those people that acquire the resources to keep their resources and do with it as they please. And in fact, the governor went as far as to say, you can own the land that you own. You actually own the land, the house, and whatever farm you build in that land, you can own it, and you can do with it as you please. You can reap the harvest of your own land and keep the resources, and then trade as you like and barter as you like with other people. The result of this is that those people, obviously, who had the energy, who had the capability to acquire the resources, to work for the things, know that they now have an incentive. The incentive is the harder I work, the more of it I get to keep. And so they worked hard. People were ambitious, they worked hard, they acquired a lot of resources, they acquired so much resources. They acquired so much resources that they had an overabundance of food from what once was a socialistic style of governance where people were walking over dead bodies and people were rotting and dying, to now an overabundance of food. They had so much abundance that they had to trade. They had to look for nearby communities so they can trade their overabundance. And so this was the feast that they call Thanksgiving. So let me now go over why I do not practice gratitude. Now most people practice gratitude and they say, oh, you gotta be grateful, you got to have gratitude, and you gotta be thankful. So let me give you my perspective on gratitude and I'll end it here. The reason why I don't practice gratitude is because gratitude came from the root word gratis. Gratis means to get something free, to get something for free, to get something whether or not you deserve it. You savvy? And so gratis, getting something for free, getting something whether or not you deserve it or you're worthy of it, is something that I do not practice. We humans, everything we do for a very selfish reason. We do it because at the very least, it makes us happy. At the very least, it makes us feel good about us. I want you to really pay attention to that because a lot of people, most people, every person that believes that they do things altruistically. Altruism means for the sake of everybody else except you. Sacrificing your needs, wants, and desires for the sake of others. Now the very people that say they do things altruistically never recognize that they do things altruistically, they do things for other people because it makes them feel good about them and they know it. And so at the very least, the reason I do the things I do, the reason I do things that are kind and sweet and very generous, and the reason why I help an old lady across the street for nothing in return, the reason why I help my friends for nothing in return, I love helping my friends. I love helping people that deserve my help. I love giving my attention to people that deserve my attention. The reason why I do that for nothing in exchange is because I don't have any gratitude. I don't want gratitude. And at the very least, I do it selfishly for me. I do it selfishly because it makes me feel good about me. So when I help an old lady down the street and they say, how can I repay you? What can I do for you so I can pay you back? I say, no, don't pay me back. You don't have to pay me back. I just like you to appreciate what I've done and maybe pass it on. So let me give you an example why you wouldn't want to practice gratitude. Here's why. If I help enough of my friend, a friend needs help, and I help her enough times, and I help her so many times that at a certain point she feels gratitude towards me, and I don't want that burden. She feels gratitude towards me, and so she sleeps with me, not because she wanted to sleep with me, but because I've done so much good things for her, there's nothing else she can do but sleep with me. And I don't want that feeling. I don't want anything that I don't feel I'm worthy or I don't feel I deserve. So when someone says, how can I repay you? What can I do to return this favor? I will say, no, I don't want anything in return. Just appreciate what I've done. I don't practice gratitude, and just pass it on. I literally do things, nothing in return. And so when you're going out there and you're doing good deeds and quote unquote altruistic things, and you're doing good things and helping friends, like people you love, don't do it out of gratitude. Don't do it. Don't give them free things. Do it because it makes you feel good about you. It makes you feel good you didn't waste your time. It makes you feel good that you have the goodwill of your friends. It makes you feel good doing things for people you love, admire, and adore. And what I replace gratitude with is deservedness and worthiness and appreciation. To appreciate is to know and understand the whole worth and value of something. I don't require anything in return for doing things that I did, but I appreciate what I've done. I appreciate what you've done, and that's that. And so what I encourage you to do this Thanksgiving is find out what things in your life you appreciate. Really, truly grasp and understand the full value and the full worth of something what you have in your life. Know the full worth and the full value of your beloved. Understand the full worth and the full value of the acquisitions that you've had in your life and where you are in your life. Appreciate it, but don't have gratitude towards it.